Jason. I'm Shane.
Hey,
with
nice to
Tucson
meet you,
Foodie.
Shane.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for being here.
So you've been the CEO of eegee's for 2 years now?
Yeah, that's right. Just clipping 2 years.
Well, let's get to know you. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been in the restaurant industry a little over 30 years. So I'm one of the veterans, right, of doing this. I worked for big brands, which I just loved, right? They afforded me so much development and growth and learned so much. And then after an extended period of time in big brands, I really wanted to be part of local communities, smaller brands, maybe some that had a little rust on it, some that were just looking to go in a different direction, and where you could get in there and just be part of the community, make decisions, go quick, and really watch it evolve and grow. And so that's what really excites me. And so that's been my quick professional growth. And then I'm a father, husband, grandfather being the best job in the world. So that's me.
Okay, cool. But you're from the Midwest, right?
I am. So
Tennessee?
Yep. Grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Had a great childhood. Go Big Orange is what people like to say there, and I do. But it's a great town to grow up in. Just great childhood. Fun, normal kid stuff that you do, and just a great childhood, and enjoyed it a great deal.
Okay, so you said you wanted to get involved with a smaller brand that had a little rust on it. I think eegee's had a little rust on it, so good choice. What specifically excited you about eegee's?
What's interesting and what draws me to a brand like eegee's is, do you believe in the product, right? Do you believe in the brand? It's not just something, hey, we're going to take out and try to grow it. It's the quality of it. It's the belief in what you're handing people, selling people. You believe in that you're giving them a quality product. That's A. B, it's the relationship with the community or with the fans, right? The Tucson fans feel like they are part owners of this brand, which I think is great. I've worked in another brand like that before. And so when people care that much and you have a great brand, there's a lot to do there, a lot of good work to do, and a lot of good growth and a lot of good development to happen. And so that's what excites me about being here.
That's exactly the reason that I bought Tucson Foodie.
Is that right?
I took it over 2 years ago, in fact.
Is that right?
And it'd been 10 years old, and there's just such a fan base for it. So I knew I could do a lot with it.
Oh, very cool.
All right, let's see here. All right, so you took over eegee's. What's the first change you made?
The first change I made, I came in the first, if you're going to want to tick-tock through my timeline, the first 60 days I made no changes. It was just to observe, right? What's going on? Why is it happening, right? I try not to indict the past. Some things that were decided on were here when I got here, and other decisions I had to make, and it doesn't matter to me. It's just, I'm in the chair, and you just have to work through with what's in front of you or what decisions had been made. And so I think the biggest change was really talking about how we innovate and elevate the eegee itself. And so an example would be a couple of months ago, we put mango on as an everyday flavor. And we knew we wanted the community to be involved, so we put out a vote, right? And over 28,000 people voted on a flavor.
Wow.
Right? And there was no rig election, I promise you that. It was mango, right? We counted every vote, and there it was. And so the community got involved and told us what they wanted, so we got to listen to them. They told us what they wanted, and we made it an everyday flavor. But it had been the first time in 40 years that had happened, right?
A vote?
Of a new flavor. And so it was how do we innovate and elevate? And what I mean by that is, in 1971, right, when Ed and Bob started this, Tucson wasn't the same size, the same amount of restaurants weren't here, and it was a different financial situation. And as special as eegee's is, we're not immune to inflation, wage rate compression or wage rate growth that is dictated to us by the government. We're not immune to any of that. So we have to assimilate that into our business model. That means that either forces us to change or tweak to what we're doing. And how do we keep making sure that we provide great customer service and great food? And so if you look at some of the brands that have come into Tucson, and some of our eegee's folks use them too, right? It's not just a Tucson thing, right? They go to all these other brands. They can customize in a lot of ways that eegee's for a while hasn't been able to, customize. If you go to, coffee shops now, you can put anything in it, take anything out, right? Stand it on its head, whether it's ice cream shops, sorbet, coffee, whatever. And for us, for the longest time, although we love eegee's, the flavors have kind of stayed the same. And to some folks, they don't ever change the 1971 flavors, but then generations grow up and they don't want the same thing. And so how do you be everything to everybody if you can? And I'm not sure that you can. You just have to be true to yourself, true to the brand, and serve what you think is best with good quality and with a smile. And so that's what we've been embarking on, is this customization, and you've seen a little bit of it over the last few months, and we're going to see more of it here in the future. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with you as we go forward.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
I want to know what should people expect next from eegee's?
Yeah, I think it's the continued innovation of eegee's, right? The flavor of the months, the flavor pops that we introduced, they're doing great. And our customers have responded in a great way, right? You can measure success by a lot of ways, right? What are people saying and doing on the social and digital platforms? More importantly, it's, are they showing up to your restaurant and are they buying your product? And, knock on wood, guest count and sales have been very, very strong. We're very, very pleased by the reaction we're getting. And part of that measuring stick that we're using is just how are the new flavors doing, whether it's the flavor pop or the new flavor of the months. And with those, you can customize their flavor profiles that we haven't had before. We do like to bring back some classics, so we are hearing our veteran guest out there, so we do want to bring those back. Pretzels would be another one. We did bring pretzels back a few months ago, and they're doing great. And other things we bring back that our guests asked, they didn't do so great. So some of the legacy and some of those memories work, and other things don't. And the one thing I know I can't compete with is someone's memory, right? It's what their childhood is or what their teenage years were. And I'm so glad that they have them and they can hold on to that, but I can't turn back 1971, right? I can't get to there. We just have to deal with the circumstances that we have and make it the best version of eegee's that we can in 24 and beyond. And so you can expect more flavors, more innovation with different type of toppings, with different type of colors, and some food innovation as well, and down to the rest of the year.
So I know you've expanded to Phoenix, which happened just before you joined.
Yeah.
And now you're in California. You're outside of
Yeah.
Arizona. Did you have a big part in that decision to move to California?
Yeah, I did. So Phoenix was kind of there, and we're working out our with the Phoenix team and the Phoenix group up there. They do love eegee's up there, so we're glad we can give them that. And we listen to our guests, right? And so if I showed you my inbox 2 to 3 times a month, I get emails, please come to this town, please come to this state, please come here.
Yeah.
And so the Sega Hospitality Group approached us about joining on the Santa Monica Pier. And it's not a full-fledged eegee's, right? We're just selling just the drink, and it's inside a concession stand. So if you went there, you don't look for a building like this. Look for inside a concession stand. And we have so many people out in California that just know us. And the people that own Saga Hospitality, they said, you're the most recognizable brand we have, and these are other California brands. So the power, the thing that I'd want people of Tucson to know is the power of the brand and what Ed and Bob built and what we're continuing to build through that legacy is, people from all over the country want this, right? And I think it exports Tucson in a very positive way, in a very healthy way, that look what we can do, look what we have, and it's still home base, right? There's no plans to move. I know there was, again, when you look at some of the, postings that go on out there, they're moving, here, they're moving there, and the only thing we did was move and sign in, a 20-year lease in a new office to stay here,
cool.
Right? So this is home, this is where we want to be, but it would just also offer, when you think about, folks that don't want their brand exported, but other brands come in and we all use them, right? If Starbucks came from Seattle and a lot of people use Starbucks, and In-N-Out was never going to leave California, and now they're out everywhere, and they've been able to stay true to who they are. And we're not going to be any different. We know it's Tucson based. We want to carry that Tucson legacy into these other towns and these other cities. And we're not running and doing it with our hair on fire, right? It's going to be a very methodical approach. But when we find an opportunity like Santa Monica Pier, we're going to take it, because there's a large population that knows us out there. People love it, and they're posting about it. They're sending us emails about it. They're grateful we're there. And I just hope people from Tucson can find how to be proud about taking this special, unique brand and product that other people get to try it now. And I think that's special, and everybody doesn't get to do that, and Tucsonians and eegee's family does.
Do you own and operate the California location, or is it a franchise?
They are a licensee of us. They're not even a franchisee, so they're a licensee. Think about a Starbucks inside of a hotel, that type of thing. We just have our beverage there, which is all we wanted to start with. As we go forward. So it was a special site, right? So we're in the Phoenix airport, same type of thing. We do have our food there, but it's just points of distribution.
Yep.
And growth comes in a lot of different ways, Shane, right? We bottled for the first time, we bottled our ranch dressing. That's a point of distribution. That was never done before, right? That I know of, right? Something could have happened 30 years ago. I just don't know. But in recent history, I'm not aware. And that was just another point of distribution that we want, that our fans asked for. So we did our best to accommodate that. And now people from all over the country see it on our website and say, "Can you send it to me?"
Yeah.
So we're going to try to find a ways to to ship that out, because they
cool.
remember it, right? That's just a memory they have with our ranch fries.
Yeah, when I posted that I was going to do this interview on our Instagram, we had multiple people comment about buying the bottled ranch.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Bring it back." And then some people were like, "Hey, you can still buy it over here." And they were like, "What? I'm so happy."
Yeah, it's still at every one of our restaurants. Unless we sell out, we're replenishing as quick as we can, and we're looking to add another flavor in the fall, another bottled ranch flavor. So looking at Buffalo.
Buffalo
so
ranch.
How do we get Buffalo ranch out in there as well?
I'll pour that on my fries.
Yeah, so
That's good.
It's one of my favorites. I eat the fries almost every day. I love those things.
Let's talk about the bread.
Yeah.
This was the biggest comment from our audience. Bread's changed.
It did change.
And I've also heard that you're testing the recipe that is more reflective of the original recipe. How's that going?
True.
What's the plan with bread? I think that's the thing people were most, bummed about when you made those changes.
Yeah, some were bummed, some just got mad, right? I mean, it went the spectrum.
People love their bread.
Spectrum was, "Hey, I love the new bread," to "I hate your new bread," right? And that's all fair, right? We want to hear, and so let's go back to the why. Right, so we were in a commissary building that did a lot, multi-purposed, dry storage areas, cold storage areas, made bread in it. We were growing at the same time. And so when you think about a bakery, a true bakery, you want the conditions to be consistent. Humidity the same, the temperature the same, environment the same. And the way eegee's had been making bread over the past few years, again, it was in a warehouse that didn't enjoy that. And so we were getting comments as the seasons changed here. We would get comments about our bread because dough performs differently in different temperatures in a different environment. It's falling apart, it's cracking. So we're like, okay, we have to address the bread issue. So we've got complaints about the bread everybody liked. And so we had to quickly do two paths at the same time. Phoenix had been growing, so the current commissary making the bread was running out of capacity, so they just weren't going to be able to keep up with the new stores. So there was that dynamic, and then we had complaints about the other bread, so there was that dynamic. So we worked with the company to say, how do we get to scale, because we're going to run out of time. How do we get to scale and ramp it up? We did a small test, got some good feedback, and we rolled it out. Went over well with some, and then some people, like I said, were just mad at Hornets at us. And that's all fair, right? It's, again, when you talk about people feel like it's their brand, that's where they have the right, and we want to hear their feedback. What I want them to know is it wasn't done to say, "Oh, we're about to save a bunch of money, so we're going to do this." It wasn't about that. It actually cost us a little bit more to do that. When we made the change, we also knew at the same time we were going to find a longer term solution. And what did that look like? It was where we could get fresh bread daily, locally sourced in the state, something that, yes, was closer to what the original recipe, and by the way, that original recipe had been changed about 10 times over the last 15 years because ingredients just change. When you go to the grocery store and you see 10 types of sugar, you have one brand that you like, and you can look, well, they're all kind of sugar, but I like that brand, and you put it in there. Well, if that brand of sugar goes out of business, you're now forced to pick something else. And yeah, it's sugar, but then it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And as other companies over time go out of business, then yes, some ingredients did change, and it wasn't the recipe change, but then you put 4 new ingredients in a product, it becomes a different product. And over the past 10 or 12 years, that's what had happened to the bread. And so we're very excited. We've been working with Capistrano's Bread, just a company, family owned in Arizona, that's been in business for 40 plus years. They make a great product. We put it out on social, where we've been testing in 4 restaurants. We're going to expand that to 4 more restaurants. We've been receiving great feedback, and we're letting our guests say, hey, this is the bread we like. This seems like what it originally was. And what I want to caution them on is we can never get you back to 71, right? I wish I could, but I can't. But what I can tell you is that we take it very seriously, we care about it, but we didn't want to just whiplash our guests. We didn't want to jump from this bread to this bread to this bread and keep trialing and erring, we wanted to say, what's our northern star here, right? It's the eegees and it's this bread. And again, the tenets that we wanted to work through, again, we're fresh, locally sourced, and we get the customer feedback, and then we'll say, hey, it's right for the brand, and we'll put an announcement out when we're ready to go system-wide. If that's what happens, I feel good about, the feedback we're getting is just through the roof great, and our team's excited about it, and we feel like it's a big win for our guests if that's what they're asking for.
Future expansion plans in terms of stores, not flavors and stuff, but you've opened the California. How's the California location going?
It's going great. It's going well. Like I said, people love this brand, and so anytime you see people smile when they look up and see it, we had a woman post. She was up on the Ferris wheel at Santa Monica Pier, and she looked down and saw the eegee sign and took a picture and posted like, "Oh my gosh, my dream came true."
Get me off this Ferris wheel.
That's right. So it's doing really well. And look, Shane, as we think about expansion, we're going to do it in a very thoughtful approach, right? We are going to look at what makes sense in Arizona. And where that should be. And, in Tucson, we kind of built on top of each other. And again, that was the power of a brand that you could do 20, 30 years ago when the financial compressions just simply weren't the same. And another controversial thing, we closed a couple of restaurants last year. Let me just address that. And it wasn't because we weren't financially healthy, right? It, quite frankly, was just the opposite. We were doing well, and how do you strengthen the portfolio? Because my job is to listen to our team, listen to our guests, and make sure the brand has good stewardship, and we make decisions where there's a brand in 40 years, right? It's not about what you do over the next 2 years. It's how do you make sure this brand is here for 40 more years? And our ownership feels the same way. These guys, it's funny, we get comments around the corporate guys. Well, I mostly dress in shorts. Our primary owners, I'm not sure they own a tie, maybe one for a wedding and a funeral. They're a couple of college buddies. They got some friends to invest, and that's them. Oh, okay. So, we're at meetings, it's shorts, there's no ties involved, like I said, unless someone's dying or getting married. So it's a very casual atmosphere. They love this brand. They want to own it for as long as they can or want to, right? They just love this brand. And so we're thinking about points of distribution versus traditional development. Again, a point of distribution, Santa Monica Pier, ranch dressing. There's some things I'd like to do with how you package eegees and ship it across the country.
Cool. You used to do that, right?
Used to be done, right? So we're not just, hey, we've got these new ideas. It's how do you revisit? I'm not trying to rehabilitate the George Clooney Batman. I'm trying to go back to the origin Batman.
Nice.
Right? Like what happened in '71? What can we feasibly and duplicate that just makes sense for today's branding and going forward? So we are going to grow. We want to grow. But it'll be done in a responsible, methodical way. It's not going to be, hey, we're going to try to blow up 100 units in this amount of time, right?
Yeah.
It's grow Arizona the way it can be. Would we look to find spots in Tucson? I'd say sure, where it makes sense. But if you drive around Tucson and if someone really, really has nothing to do and they want to count the amount of other brands that are here, and we're a small brand, right? This is pretty much it here in Tucson. We have 10 to 12 more restaurants than other brands. And in today's world, that's why we closed some restaurants. That business moved to other restaurants of ours. And we didn't do it just out of a profit take. I'm not going to lie to you. We've made more money to it. We're not a nonprofit, so let me just state that. But every decision we haven't been made is how do we make more money? It's what sustains the brand, right? What creates a pathway for the next 40 years? And we worked with the landlords where we closed, say, hey, if we put this much in, will you match and we can remodel this? Landlords weren't quite prepared to do that. That's strike one. Is the area around us, is it growing or declining, right? Are other businesses closing or are they coming in? The ones that we closed, the areas were declining. So we didn't have the same customer base as when we first built or in the last couple of years. So, that environment started to deteriorate around from a business model standpoint. And because we're a brand that had so many restaurants by each other, we could close those and move the business to those other restaurants, and how we modeled it worked, right? We did bring those people over. We made sure everybody in those restaurants that closed, we offered them a job in other restaurants, so we made sure they just weren't left out in the cold. That was very important to us, that they had jobs or opportunities for jobs. And so that's some of the reasons why we did it. It's kind of, before you grow, make sure your company and your portfolio is truly ready for growth and you have the strong foundation to grow from. And that was part of why we kind of just, finished those restaurants in Phoenix, finished Sarita, and then said, let's put a pause on it and let's grow strategically. And growth, again, isn't just about four walls. It's the other ways that we've demonstrated growth.
How about munchees? What's the future with munchees?
Well, again, we've been testing. We haven't just rushed out to do things. So I told you about the 4 stores we've been testing bread at. Yeah. We have 4 stores that we've been testing munchies on. And look, we didn't invent this wheel, right? Again, it goes back to the conversation. Why would eegees do munchies? Why would you change it? The guests are asking for it. We didn't sit in some room and go, you know what we ought to do? Let's be like them. It was the guests were saying, hey, how come you don't have this? How come you don't have that? Like, well, let's explore it. So over the past few weeks, we've been doing a test in 4 restaurants. You're sitting in one, so we're going to bring some out in a little bit. So we've been testing boba. We've been testing, gummies, some sprinkles. And so they've been going great, right? Again, if you're one of our legacy users, you may not care that there's a sprinkle on there. But if you're one of our newer users, you care that the opportunity is there. And to the veteran, they don't have to order it. We're not going to force it on their eegee. But if someone comes in and says, this is a choice I want because everywhere else I go, I can customize what I want. We just want that offering at eegee's. Again, at the top of our conversation, there wasn't a lot of customization you can do. And this is just one more way to listen to our guests to say, this is what we want. These are the things we can do at other brands. Can you all do it for us? And sometimes the answer is yes, and the test has been going very, very well. And there's going to be some things that guests might say, hey, can you do this and do that? But it's not authentic to who we do, right? We brought back pretzels. They did well. Someone said, do you have, you're going to bring in, churros? And our thought was, probably not. That's not who we are, right? So that's probably not a fit for us. We'll just, whoever does those great in Tucson, we'll just let them continue to be great, and we'll take a pass on that because that's not what we do.
Makes sense. All right, earlier you said that you thought it was eegee's responsibility or an opportunity to export Tucson and kind of build Tucson's reputation at the national level. I think that's cool. I think Tucson Tamale's doing a great job of that. The word Tucson in the frozen food section at hundreds of grocery stores around the country is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for Tucson. As you do that, though, how can you pay respect or homage to Tucson's roots?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There's imagery, right? And the imagery, and then there's the culture part. The imagery can be just like if you look at one of our cups, right? We've got a Tucson skyline on our cups. That carries forward. We can put imagery within these restaurants to let them know, right? We can say Tucson or Tucson's own or Tucson's finest, however we choose to brand that. So there's that part. I will carve out. That's the corporate part. That's the easy part. We're going to put labels on things and say it's Tucson. But if you don't act and feel like Tucson, then it's not authentic and it's not there. The best way we can do that is the product, right? Does the product we make here today, does it carry forward? Is it the same quality? Is it the same type of product that memories have created? Is that going to happen in other places, right? So it leads with the product. And then secondly, it's the vibe and how you feel, right? You and I were talking a little bit earlier. Tucson is, I call it an asymmetrical town or an asymmetrical city. And I mean that as a compliment, that they don't try to be like everybody else, right? You either get Tucson or you don't. It's just got its own vibe, its own way of living. And that's what makes this place special. And it's about the people we hire and the attitude that we hire and how that comes out to our guest, that you're not walking into, hey, to another QSR and they give you this script, right? We're gonna, our team dresses a little bit different. Our team has a little bit different hair colors. That's Tucson, that's the vibe, and we embrace that. We love that, right? And so to me, it's just about an attitude and the culture that gets out in these other communities, that when you walk in and it just feels a little bit different, people, are just offering you different things and they're engaging you just a little bit different. And that's that part of Tucson that I think is great that, most places don't have.
Okay, so you're keeping it weird, you're keeping it funky.
A little bit, which I think is terrific.
And then maybe people will be like, where's this place from?
Yeah.
Tucson?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your community engagement strategy.
Yeah.
One of our followers said that one of the things you used to do to give back to the community is you could give out coupon books that schools could sell as fundraisers. Just talk about your community relations, or what's the word?
So
CSR?
last year and this year, we have outreach to over 200 communities, whether volunteering, discounts, providing food for charity events. So we've remained in over 200 different ways of being a part of the community. We haven't necessarily gone out and beat our chest about it, right? We just want it to be about the community, and when people see us there, right, we show up where they're at. so we haven't done any type of PR about it. The coupon books, I'm not sure why, to be honest with you, I have to get back. I don't know why we got rid of the coupon books. I think we probably need to get to more of a digital coupon book. That I don't know if people really deal in paper anymore, so it might need to be something we do on our app. So we have gone more focused around our digital strategy. But we do, if you go on our website, we have a woman, her name is Tina, she's been with us for over 30 years, that handles all of that. And so anytime requests come in, we do our very, very best to accommodate every request, whether it's donations, gift cards, just any promo we can do, we show up in the community. So again, it's over 200 community reach outs that we've been involved with between last year and this year.
Well, we've got a few more. We had a couple nonprofits comment, yo, can you throw us some free product for this charity event? So I'll just tell them where they can fill the form
tell them
out.
to hit the website and we'll be glad to do our best to get it. There you go.
All right, let's see here. So those were my big kind of strategic questions.
Sure. That's where the heartburn is with your...
I've got some specific things, but you may not have answers.
I may not.
Considering your pedigree. But here's one. This was the second most popular comment after bread.
Okay.
Artificial flavors and colors. So I've been to Tucson for 10 years.
Yeah.
And when I first tried eegees, I think that I remember big chunks of fruit, and people were wondering, is there less fruit? There seems to be more artificial flavors and colors. Can you talk about the decision to do that, and are you considering it all coming back to real fruit, no artificial flavors, maybe a move towards health, anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know when we took out. Big chunks of fruit. The eegees, since I've been here, that's just the eegees I've known. But we are looking at how do we put more fruit in. We just had the conversation actually a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
The artificial coloring, that's probably not going to go away. That's just how we differentiate, right? The different profiles that we do, right? So strawberry is probably going to have a coloring in it that's going to make it look like strawberry. Grape is probably going to have purple in it that's going to make it look like grape. So we're not going to go away from the artificial flavoring or coloring like that, but we are absolutely looking at how can we create a line that's more health conscious. We have a skinny berry, doesn't sell real well. I think people kind of come to us for maybe the sugary treat that they like and get some energy behind it. But we are looking at expanding our skinny berry line, and then how do we put more fruit? Yeah, and how do we put more fruit into our eegees?
Great.
And the other thing I would just offer is, and then you think about some of the flavors, they're not supposed to have any fruit in them. Some of them that we've developed, like cotton candy is our flavor pop that came out last year. It's about to launch this Thursday again as our flavor pop.
Sure.
It's not going to have any fruit in it.
Yeah.
So I think I would just offer, I think where the legacy is of the ones that we expect fruit in, look for more fruit, and then some of them that we're developing aren't ever supposed to have fruit in by the nature of what they are.
All right, I'm just going to do some rapid fire stuff here.
Sure.
And then maybe we can try some stuff.
Sounds great.
Okay, I'm just going to say something, you just react to it.
Okay.
Everybody wants watermelon all year. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't blame them. It's great. So there's two things about that. One, we can't get the ingredients for 12 months to sustain it.
Great answer.
So we can't do it.
Seasonal.
It's seasonal.
Because you're using real fruit.
Yeah.
Okay.
B is, but we did try to listen to our guests and try to compromise and say, okay, so I made the decision instead of July to pull it out into the holiday in May. So instead of, just July, you have it for the end of May, all through June and all through July. So it was the best compromise we could do to make it the flavor of the summer, and make sure that we can sustain those ingredients for that long of a period of time. And so that was the best we can do. It's selling great, right? The numbers are doing great. We hope that sustains through July, but that's the why on the watermelon.
Cookie of the month. Do you know about this?
I do know about Cookie of the Month, but that came on with the bread too. So that was the folks that are mad about the bread are mad about the cookie. Here's what I'm going to say about that. We have a bakery in Arizona that the baker was one of the people that had the original recipes of the eegee cookie. We found them, we've got them. I would look for that original cookie sometime in the fall to hit the restaurants.
Ooh, okay. We're going to hold you accountable to that.
Please do. Freshly baked, and it is the recipe. We found the recipe from not from the George Clooney Batman, but the Michael Keaton Batman, or Adam West, depending on where you want to go.
Multiple comments about different size sandwiches. and how you've reduced the sizes. People want their 4, 8, or 12-inch options.
Yeah, that was just an operational choice, right? So, yeah, that's on me. It was just when you think about what can the guest receive, what's operation complex that just takes longer to do, that was just a choice we made to go to half and whole versus 3 different size. There was a lot of waste. It took longer to train. So yeah, if you said, okay, Vaughn took a profitability play and made it easier for his team, yeah, I did that one.
Yeah, and food waste is a real concern, so that's fair. How about the kid size? A lot of adults like the kid size.
We did, and we brought it
Same
back.
thing. Oh, it's back?
It's back.
Hey.
So kid size is back. They're selling great, and yeah, we brought it back. And again, part of it was just availability, right? Through our COVID and all those things that are going on, as everybody likes to blame everything on it, but there was a reality. Some of our supply chain things we just couldn't get a hold of. So once we could get the cup branded back, we brought the kids cup back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
COVID interrupted your ability to get small cups.
You know, interrupted the silliest stuff. Some ingredients that you talked about, but to get it branded and the size of cup we wanted to bring back, it made it a challenge. Didn't make it impossible, but we just waited till it got
Fair enough.
to a good spot.
The vegan community in Tucson is huge. We actually run a festival called the Vegan Night Market, and we have 4,000 people come to this 4 times a year.
Okay.
It's massive. So we had a lot of vegan fans ask. And one of the things that I learned from somebody else, one of your fans who jumped in and said, hey, actually I think it was somebody who works for eegee's, because she used the "we" word. She said, hey, we actually use vegan certified sugar, so a lot of the eegee's themselves are vegan. That's true?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, she knows.
She knows, but I have to check with and look at our ingredients, because here's the other thing, Shane. Different flavors. We do have a mixologist, and he's been with us for over 30 years. So what a certain ingredient might go in watermelon may not go in lemonade, that may not go into cotton candy. So to say that it might be true about some of them, but if I sat here and made a blanket statement that it's all of them, then I'd be lying to you, and I don't want to do that, but I'll get back to you.
Okay. Well, vegans want more transparency on what is vegan and some good vegan options other than just a salad.
Okay. And so what I would offer is I'd be willing to meet with people that live vegan. I don't know how to do that, but I'm open into listening and what we might be able to do to offer that to the vegan community.
Well, it's
Certainly willing to sit and listen.
It's still a very low percentage of the population.
That's all right, but willing to listen.
All right, well, hey, just a couple final things. One of our fans noticed that one of our fans who lives here in Tucson actually went to the California location when she was on vacation. And she noticed you're not using any styrofoam out there, and she loved that. But you're still using it here in Tucson. Any plans to make your packaging more sustainable?
Yeah, absolutely. So the group out in Santa Monica Pier is actually kind of our test to say, how does the eegee perform in a plastic cup? We've done it in a very isolated way over the past 2 years. To get it to a full-blown test, we haven't. But our suite of paper goods, again, it's a locally state group that we use. So yeah, this is our first foray into saying we have a frozen beverage in a very hot area.
Yeah.
Styrofoam does seem to work well, but we are committed to say, how do we find other outlets and how do we do this differently? So it is important to us, and again, Santa Monica Pier is one of our test groups to help us use a clear cup. I think it might end up being more of the stadium type cup we're probably going to have to go to. We've been testing that as well. You know, it's a little bit thicker, denser. If you go to a ballpark, and it's that level of plastic versus the thinner clear. Yeah. But we like the clear because you can see the colors and different areas in there. So the answer is yes, we are looking at that.
Have you heard of the Frito Chilito?
I have. I love the Frito Chilito. We brought back chili last year, right? So our fans asked us, can you bring back chili? So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that on the menu in the fall as well, because we are bringing back chili in the fall.
Those are all the questions I have, but I just want to make a quick comment. From the very beginning, you said feedback from our fans and innovation, and you reinforced that with every single question. So I believe you.
Well,
it really seems you're living that.
Test. Yeah, I'm not going to bullshit people, right? I don't have an IQ to keep up with a lie here and a lie there. Just here's what it is, like it or not. And I'm not trying to be rude to our fans, but I can't. When I say I can't get them back to 1971, I just can't. There's just no way I can bring them back. And some of those folks that just comment, I don't know if they've been back in 5 years, because they'll make comments about you don't have this or that. Well, we did. We brought it back, so we know you haven't been back in 2 or 3 years because it's here if you'd have been there. So But I do, what is important to me, and I appreciate the opportunity, is just we have been listening. We're a small company, so we don't have resources like big brands where we can just turn on a dime and let's run and do that. It takes a minute, right? To wind out of this and to go into that and to ramp it up, into 30 restaurants, it just takes us a minute. And we give it our best effort, and sometimes we screw it up. The bread, screwed it up.
So this is the boba, and then when is this one coming out?
Boba is being tested right now in 4 stores. You can check the locations online on our social digital platform, but we look for it to roll sometime the 1st of August.
And there's 3 boba flavors on top.
Got mango, strawberry, and blueberry.
All right, and then this beautiful monsoon. It's
Yeah.
called the monsoon.
Monsoon is really picked up with berry infused, right? We've got blackberry, raspberry, a little bit of our original lemonade in there for a little bit of acidity in there, if you will, or acid in there, if I could talk. So really to give it that punch and that flavor, but it's a deep, rich berry flavor.
You said tick gum?
Yeah.
What's that?
Little sweetener.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's where people really like that sweetness to it. Maybe, some people like it, some don't, but it really helps
It's
this
amazing.
profile. Yeah.
I think fans will like it.
Yeah, great.
Okay, and what is this beautiful thing that my daughter Molly is going to love?
I hope that she will, and that's our target audience, right? So we just have an eegee topped with sour gummies and nerds. Who doesn't love that, right? So again, if your 10-year-old daughter, Molly, that's a really cute name.
She just took me to the main event yesterday for Father's Day. Was that yesterday? Day before?
Day before.
And with the points you get for playing games, she bought just a bunch of nerds.
And that's our target audience for that. Again, if you want that and love that, you can come and get it. If you don't, we'd love for you to get something else.
Wow.
Yeah, it's doing the job, right? It's puckering you up.
Wow. That's good. Those gummies are actually really good. Good choice.
Yeah, the team did well
like
with
the
it.
Trolleys worms.
I'm not familiar with those. I don't know those.
They're the best type of sour gummy.
Is that right?
The Trolleys.
I don't know
Those
the
are best.
Trolleys.
Yeah, it's like one of those candies that's worth paying for the brand and not the off-brand, because it's that much better.
Okay.
Which is true of most candy, actually, isn't it?
I think it is. You get what you pay for, right?
Okay, now we've got a tahine. Tell me about this one.
Is this our mango? All right. So this is just our classic mango, right? Became an everyday flavor. Tahine and chamoy are going to be everyday, options for our eegee's user going forward in August. People love it, right? Like to add it on. It would be a sometimes option for us. Sometimes we would have it. Sometimes it's not that inconsistency, and we want our fans to know there's a consistent experience here. So we're just going to keep it on full time, so they know that they can come and depend on it and add it to any eegee they want.
Solid. Very Tucson.
Very much so, and I know tahine's starting to travel across the country in more and more ways and being used. So
I shouldn't say that. Tahine isn't authentically Tucson. But it's very Southwest. It's very Mexican.
And just to add one more thing, I would look for in a couple of weeks some tahine fries coming out from us as well.
Okay.
They're really good. Tahine and ranch. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm going to wait for the buffalo ranch and then put tahine on that.
All right. And this is electric berry. I think it's kind of what you're what you're tasting is what it is, right? Very berry driven.
Oh, this reminds
Very
me.
smooth.
This reminds me of the ice cream with the ice cream truck. It was like a baseball glove with a piece of gum in the middle. Remember that? That's what this tastes like. This is nostalgia right here.
Cotton candy is, and that's the thing about eegee's. When you think about other frozen beverages, right, this richness and smoothness that pulls through, and that's what our team has been working on, where, we talk about how it goes down, how it hits the front taste, and then how it finishes off with whatever ingredients we're using. And when you have other frozen beverages, they're terrific. I love other brands, but this smoothness, this richness, this texture, this is what you get at eegee's that you just don't get in other places.
I see your lips are starting to turn blue already.
Well, I'm not that cold, but when we go off camera, I'll just finish half of this and be all good. I'll just eat it all.
Okay, well, let's race.
All right, brain freeze.
Hey, great to meet you. Thanks
Very
for
nice to
showing
meet you. I appreciate it very
likewise.
much, Shane.
Thanks for having me down, and good luck with the rollout of these flavors here and your expansion plans.
All right, thanks so
Let
much.
us know how we can help.
Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.